Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our March Commissioners Public Town Hall. I am going to start by just placing the agenda in the chat for anyone that may want to take a look. And I will turn it over to our commission chair, Jolly Hatchett.
Thank you, Talia. Good evening, everyone. If you could all bear with me as I am traveling right now. As soon as I get to a safe place, I will turn my screen on. But as it stands, we can go ahead and get the meeting started. This is CPOC Commissioner meeting hereby called to order. The time is 6:07 p.m. My name is Jolly Hatchett. I am the chair of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, and I will facilitate this meeting. This is a public meeting of the Citizens Police Oversight Commissioners that was properly advertised pursuant to the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. At this time, I'll call roll. Jolly Hatchett, present. Commissioner Hassan Bennett.
Present.
Response absent at this. Oh, okay. Good evening, Commissioner Bennett. Commissioner John
Good
Solomon.
President.
Commissioner Melanie DeBoos.
I'm calling it now.
No response
Here.
at this time. Absent. Thank you. Commissioner Rosaura Thomas.
Present.
Commissioner Hakeem PA.
Present.
We do have a quorum, so now I'll ask for an approval of the agenda for this evening, the March 5th, 2024 CPOC meeting. Can someone motion to approve the agenda?
Said motion.
I motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Can someone second that?
I second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Anyone is abstaining? Thank you. As part of that, I will move for the approval of the meeting minutes from our December 2023 meeting, our January 2024 meeting, and our February 2024 meeting. Based on the scheduling and over our past few meetings, we haven't been able to approve those items. So I would just ask that we move to approve the meeting minutes for those dates mentioned. Can someone motion for that?
Commissioner Bennett motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Can someone second? Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone
Aye.
opposed, say nay. Anyone abstaining? Thank you. Those items have been approved. The next thing I want to do is just put on the record, so to speak, that there were several executive sessions that the commissioners had with, for the purposes of receiving legal consultation from Catherine Twigg, as well as discussing HR issues. CPOC commissioners met in executive session on February 9th to receive confidential legal update on investigations. Commissioners also met in executive session on February 12th and February 26th, 2024, related to personnel/employment matters, specifically the executive director search. I just wanted to be able to put that on the record that those were executive sessions that we previously engaged in. Without any other commissioner related business at this time, I'll ask that we now have the executive director report. Well, 1 second before we get into that, Commissioner Bennett, did you have any success with Commissioner DeBose?
Commissioner DeBose is on the meeting. Commissioner DeBose.
I'm here. Good evening, all.
Thank you. All commissioners are present. Anthony, are you able to give us the executive director's report?
Yes, I am. Talia, can we share the screen?
I will. Just 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and drop the slides in the chat for anyone that would like to follow along with us.
Lovely.
And I'm going to share my screen.
Good evening, everyone. We are the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, and this is the Interim Executive Director's Report. We hope everybody's doing well tonight, and we can jump right in. All right, who are we? We're the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, and the mission of our of CPOC is to oversee and investigate the conduct, policies, and practices of the Philadelphia Police Department. Currently, we receive complaints of police misconduct, audit and monitor internal affairs investigations and police disciplinary processes, conduct oversight of police shootings, analyze police data, and develop policy recommendations and reports. We also engage in extensive outreach and training. Next slide, please. All right, this is our complaint data. So far this year, we've gotten 27 complaints. In February, we referred 11 complaints to Philadelphia Police Department's Internal Affairs Division. And these charts show demographic data from the 2024 complaints as reported by the complainants. These slides are available in the chat and are posted online. So you can examine them at your leisure if you miss anything during the presentation. Next slide, please. All right, so about a third of the allegations reported so far this year are lack of service complaints. And it should also be noted that a single complaint can have multiple misconduct allegations in it. This is a little bit of a breakdown of where these complaints fall and sort of what we're seeing. Next slide, please. All right, and here's our data maps. Now, what this does is show you where the complaints that we're receiving are in general coming from throughout the city. So you're going to see the darker red is going to show the highest concentration of police complaints, also cascading downward to less and less. Next slide, please. All right, so our auditing and monitoring unit. This unit conducts regular audits of complaints against police and audits investigations from internal affairs. As we introduced a little while ago, we have 3 new auditor monitors that have started, and they are diligently training and learning about oversight, CPOC, and unit operations. The auditing and monitoring unit is also continuing its body-worn camera work, and we recently got access to the incident reports, the 7548s, for those that see them internally, for the body-worn camera audit project. And that will really make this project go a lot faster and help us get through it. We just released a blog post that gives a status update on the body-worn camera audit project. New staff have access to videos and will begin helping with that project within the next week or 2. It's very exciting. That should help us get through it a lot faster. All right, CPOC monitors internal affairs investigations currently, but we are in the process of creating or formalizing a policy for this process moving forward. And that includes the roles and responsibilities of us in the PPD, outcomes and how we'll give feedback on investigations, and goals for reporting data on monitoring. This is really now that we have the capacity and the staff, this is really going to allow us to create a work product that the public can see and interact with, and that the PPD can use to improve their operations. All right. Is CPOC doing investigations? We are not currently performing independent individual officer misconduct investigations as anticipated by the legislation. We have a couple of hurdles to jump before we get that off the ground. First and foremost being staffing up, formalizing processes with PPD, and making sure we have an acceptable agreement with the FOP in the collective bargaining agreement. But that does not mean that different kinds of investigations and analysis aren't going to be happening and aren't already happening. We are already performing independent individual. Well, hold on. So as we work toward that goal, we are already able to conduct after action reports. We respond in real time to the scene of police shootings and review the investigative file and evaluate evidence in real time. We monitor high profile incidents of public concern, and when appropriate, we make recommendations to internal affairs and criminal referrals if necessary. Next slide. All right, in February of 2024, there was 1 officer-involved shooting, making a total of 3 shootings per year. Our total does not include accidental discharges, animal shootings, and officer suicides. The investigation unit has developed a website to update the public on police shootings shortly after they occur with information we are allowed to release. This is a list of the officer-involved shootings that have occurred thus far this year. January 17th, January 26th, and February 15th. All of these remain open. Our policy unit, we're continuing to do active policy projects. Right now we have our data reporting function is really starting to develop. We're developing a framework and process for the database for civilian complaints against police, reviewing and improving our internal collection instruments, and we've completed data analysis of administrative charging reviews and use of force reviews for the annual report, which incidentally is coming out tomorrow, so everyone should be on the lookout for that. Infographics and explainers. We released an infographic that is on our website on the Philadelphia Police Department's use of drones. Completed an infographic and explainer on self-help evictions on behalf of the Illegal Evictions Action Team, and that is in the editing process. Policy attended the Interagency Civil Rights Task Force meeting hosted by the Human Relations Commission in Philadelphia and met with Chicago's Civilian Office of Police Accountability Leadership. Next slide. Use of force reviews. Policy unit received use of force cases for review, and that's for the use of force review board where CPOC sits to evaluate officer-involved shootings upon the completion of the investigation. Policy team does a detailed and thorough analysis of the officer-involved shooting team's investigation, highlighting any potential policy violations or not if they don't exist for use in that forum. Next slide, please. All right, the policy unit charging review team reviewed 34 cases involving 66 individual PPD personnel in 2024 so far. When an internal affairs investigation finds that an officer committed misconduct, the charging unit decides is responsible for how to administratively charge officers. We do this in conjunction with the PPD. Once the PPD charging unit reviews a case, they select what charges to apply. Then we review for agreement and can recommend additional charges or make other suggestions up to and including sending the case back for further investigation. Sorry. All right, our training and that's okay. You can go back. You can go to the policy and or the training and outreach. The outreach and training unit is tasked with handling incoming complaints, providing constituent services to city residents who need resources and connection with other city services, community education, and training of staff, as well as engaging with the many diverse communities of our city. This is our outreach and training team, Talia, Julian, Giriana, and Damon. The strides they've made over the last year are quite impressive. Next slide. All right, so they've met with the Office of Immigrant Affairs to discuss language access and about a community survey to immigrant communities regarding police services. Along with the policy unit, our outreach team met with Chicago Office of Police Accountability regarding body-worn camera policy and strategies for outreach and engagement. Outreach and policy continue to have conversations and build connections with agencies that provide victim advocacy, domestic violence resources, and assistance to survivors of human trafficking. Next slide. And here's some photos of their attendance. They went to the first Africa Town community meeting, and Damon gave a lecture at Rutgers Law School centered around preventing and remedying police misconduct. This is something CPOC does every year in February and has done really since we all can remember. It's a great forum for aspiring lawyers who are interested in oversight and police reform. All right, we attended a meeting at Esperanza with Deputy Commissioner Rosario and PPD chaplains regarding public safety in Kensington. And also, hopefully some of you joined us a little while ago for Black Her Story and Law Enforcement panel discussion, which featured one of our own commissioners, Commissioner Melanie DeBose. All right, upcoming, we've got the March 18th Oversight presentation to the police recruit class. This is a great program that is now a permanent fixture of the police academy, where recruits are introduced to oversight from the beginning of their careers instead of figuring out who we are at some point along during their careers. And here we have some things that are upcoming. the community town hall on March 19th. We're going to discuss, we're going to have police response to community concerns, civilian oversight of police with a survey, some ways to improve community policing relations and illegal dumping concerns. It's going to be at the Snyder Avenue Congregational Church, 300 Snyder Avenue in Philadelphia and South Philly. Everyone who can should come down. There'll be some snacks, some discussion, and everyone's welcome. All right, what we have here is this is our post. You can see this on social media as well. Our Police Board of Inquiry, this is where the members of the public can attend if they wish and be present for hearings on police officer misconduct. We have them on March 7th, March 18th, and March 20th. I would say they are sometimes canceled fairly close, so you should always call before you head down there just to make sure that it's still going on. And we are accepting nominations for iconic women in Philly that we can recognize for community service. So if you know someone or are someone who deserves recognition, please submit a nomination. You can check us out on social media and call us down at the office, and we can give you more information, and you can nominate someone deserving who deserves some recognition in the community. All right. I think that concludes the executive director's report. Thanks, everybody, and I'll throw it back to Chairman Hatchett.
Thank you, Anthony. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, it seemed like my audio was coming in and out. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or anything as it relates to anything that was raised in the executive director's report? I'll ask any commissioners first before we go to the attendees, rather.
Commissioner Bennett's hand is raised. He has a question.
Go for it, Commissioner Bennett.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Anthony. How you feeling this evening?
Oh, good. How you doing? Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute.
Pretty well. Could you run back about the how to keep up with the shootings, with the officer involved shootings?
Yes, we have on our website a page that shows all of the dates and any summary that we're allowed to post, and we usually do that a little while after the shooting occurs.
Okay, thank you. As far as investigating, individual investigations conducted by CPOC, where are we with our negotiations with the FOP?
Well, that's going to have to occur during the collective bargaining agreement process, which will begin at the end of the year.
Okay. So last year just obviously fell. Is there anything we can do now to just soften, ease into that?
Well, we actually are developing relationships with the FOP as we speak. We had a very good meeting in December, and there's been a lot of back and forth with the new leadership of the FOP, and they've been very responsive and receptive to CPOC. It's actually very encouraging, and we hope to have more meetings over the summer, and perhaps with you guys in attendance to help facilitate this process. But I will say it's I feel a lot more optimistic than I did previously.
Could you explain why? I know we're in a public setting. Could you explain the complications, the reasons we need the FOP's approval?
Yes, in the last major collective bargaining agreement, there's a line in it that gives the FOP written approval over reforms implemented by the legislation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions from any other commissioners regarding anything presented?
If there are no questions, Chairman Hatchett, I will go ahead. I'm just going to drop the link to the officer involved shooting data on our website that Interim Director Irachi mentioned a moment ago, in case anyone wants to click on it and peruse it while we're discussing it tonight.
And to that point, Talia, also, could you let me know now, and I'll just open it up again generally to the individuals in attendance, if there are any questions or concerns regarding anything mentioned in the executive director's report, or just generally concerning anything that is on the agenda for this evening. Just let me know, Talia.
Okay, I certainly will. We can wait a few moments to see if anyone wants to raise their hand or type something in the Q&A or the chat.
Nothing, Talia?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay. I'll now just ask the fellow commissioners, or is there any other items that you all would like to discuss in this public forum while we are together? Because otherwise, if there aren't any other questions or comments or anything like that, we don't have any other items on the agenda. Okay, Talia, if there aren't any other questions or anything from the attendees, I want to actually maybe put this down as a record meeting. I think 23 minutes. Can someone move to adjourn?
Okay, nope. Oh, wait, hold on. Spoke too soon. Let's see. Okay, so there's a question. It says, so if the collective bargaining agreement doesn't happen until the end of 2024, does that mean there won't be any investigations until 2025?
Well, individual investigations of misconduct, probably. But what I will say is that does not mean that we are not doing extensive investigative work, right? Like this is with the investigation team, as we do a build out, the whole point is to build out capacity anyway, right? Now, we're all, in addition to monitoring shooting investigations, one of the things we're doing as we build capacity is to create an NTSB style of investigation, which does not require delivery into any forum and does not require anyone's approval. These are similar to after action reports, but they examine incidents thoroughly, all of the evidence that has been collected in these incidents, and they find a way forward. And I'll give you a hypothetical example. Let's say SWAT goes into a house, right? Has an outcome that is in policy, but one that is deeply unsatisfying to the community, the PPD, and the city of Philadelphia as a whole. What we can do there is we break apart in it. We break apart these events thoroughly. We come up with ways forward where the outcome can be different, with changes in policy, changes to tactics, changes to really anything that would come up, and find a better way for the police department to conduct these types of things. This is a good way to establish professional capacity. It's also a way to have a larger impact on police operations outside of punishing an individual officer for an individual act of misconduct. So while we are going to be working towards individual investigations of misconduct, that does not mean we will not have an incredible impact, and actually probably more far-reaching impact than individual instances of misconduct.
Any follow-up questions or comments based on that?
Commissioner Bennett's hand is raised.
Go for it, Commissioner Bennett.
Do we have that? Do you have that line in front of you from the collective bargain agreement?
I don't have the CBA in front of me. No.
I can drop the public version in the chat if anyone wants to read
Please.
along. Yes, the
Sure,
recent.
Talia, could you?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. I'm dropping it in now. If anyone wants some light reading. It is several pages long, but there it is for everyone to see.
Commissioner Bennett, I don't know if you're going to attempt to look at the agreement and then ask any follow-up questions.
Yeah,
or
I'm not going to look at it. I'm
Okay,
not gonna read it right now. I'll, I'll read it later and then I'll come up with, probably some questions for, Catherine or Mr. Irachi later on. I do have one question, right? The legislation grants us, grant CPOC, power of investigation, right? Why do we need approval from the CBA?
Well, I mean, it's a standing collective bargaining agreement. I mean, there's the legislation does, but it's only a city ordinance. It doesn't trump a formal contract.
Mm.
any other questions or comments?
Yes, so we have a anonymous question in the Q&A from the public, but Commissioner Thomas's hand is raised. Which would you like to address first?
If we could go to Commissioner Thomas and then the comment from the public.
Okay, certainly.
Okay, this is a bit discouraging because I know that our community wants the investigations to go through. So basically, our hands are still tied when we are trying to help the community. It's not a question, but a comment. So as long as the FOP says you can't, or, you know, our hands are still tied. And I know that the community wants some kind of accountability. So basically, we're like, we have to go along with what they say. It doesn't matter. You know, the FOP is going to continue to control what we do in order to help the community in regards to the investigation with naughty cots. So I know that our communities are not too thrilled with this response. Just to let you know, they're not happy with this.
I can totally understand that, but what I will say is that we actually have a far more extensive ability to impact the Philadelphia Police Department outside of individual officer investigations. One, the NTSB style investigations have the ability to change policy and change how the police department operates. The other part is that we've been incredibly successful in involving civilian oversight in the disciplinary process, in charging, in the adjudication forum, creating greater accountability, greater transparency, and a greater likelihood that that cases won't be nullified by an FOP-led panel. Additionally, the improved relationship with the FOP is a sign for optimism going forward, because finding a way, it's now possible to negotiate. I mean, we're having a very good back and forth. The relationship is developing, and I think that there's reasons for optimism here. Is it perfect? No, but I think Oversight is light years ahead of where it was only a few years ago, and I think that as our annual report will show, and as we'll continue to show, we're really doing a whole lot, and the community has a lot of reasons to be confident in police oversight and the improvement of policing in Philadelphia.
I mean, that's wonderful that you have a great rapport with the FOP and everything, but I'm sure that our communities say, okay, great, you have a great relationship. I know a lot of people from the FOP, and I know a lot of people on the police department, but I know that they want more, and I know that this is a struggle. Since I've been commissioner, it'll be 2 years next month, there has been no investigation. So I'm like, and I'm sure they're like, well, ¿qué pasa? ¿Qué es lo que está pasando? And I'm speaking Spanish. What's going on? What's happening? What are we doing? And I know that great, you know, the FOP, you know, they want to work with us, but we're hoping that give us that space, allow us to do this investigation, allow Director of Investigation to allow his people to come in, and they'll allow him to get that information. So I'm speaking all over the place, but they have that control over if we have investigations done on police officers. But thanks, Anthony. Thank you for your time.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm gonna read.
Thank you, Talia. That's what I was going to ask.
Okay, I will read what we have in the QA. We have a Q&A, excuse me. We have a question. Do you have updates like you do for the officer involved shooting database for other types of inquiries you are conducting?
Other types of inquiries. I'm not sure what that references.
Perhaps some of the investigative, like inquiries that the investigative team may be looking into.
Well, right now it's officer involved shootings. We've just made an internal transfer to investigators. I mean, the unit's still developing. So I mean, what's posted on officer involved shootings is what's happening investigatively so far. The other things that'll be published are after action reports and NTSB style investigations will be upcoming.
Okay, and the person has provided a follow-up. Thank you. They're asking like lack of service or criminal referrals, etc. Do we provide
Those
updates?
well, we don't provide those kind of updates on individual cases.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Talia. Anything else? Any other comments in the chat?
I don't see any at this time, but I will wait one more moment to see if someone types something in Q&A.
Are we close to providing that information on individual complaints? Like just updates on individual complaints, findings on individual complaints, et cetera, et cetera.
No, we are not.
Okay, there isn't anything. I don't see any questions and no hands raised. You just take one final look.
Well, while you take one final look, Talia, I will regretfully eat my words in terms of this being the quickest meeting. Any other comments or anything like that in the chat?
Nope.
Okay. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn this meeting.
Is anyone second?
I second.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night.